that in the early years of the 21st century, man was being closely watched by intelligence greater than Earth. It somehow mortal us alone.
Through the chaos, we return. The Fanatics. The Fanatics. The Fanatics. The Fan.
That's right, folks. You are listening to a very special edition of Fanatics and the Fan. My name is Hawk, and it does me my heart good to introduce. I'm going to introduce my fanatic and let him introduce our guest. Please welcome back, as always, our media madman himself, Kieth. There's something special going on in the world of the Fanatics and the Fan, and I can't wait.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. But I mean, the event in and of itself has been something that has really it's changed how I've experienced and compare conventions within the state of Missouri, especially within the Midwest.
As Huffman would say, it's awesomely fantastic. That's our new word. So tell me about our guest. I'm just so excited because he's going on my list of favorite guests already.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you Mr. Kirk Critton. Kirk, are you there?
Well, I'm here, but I do not live up to that sort of an introduction whatsoever. You'll make my head big, but except that I don't buy it for a minute.
You look, I have to say, having been to numerous conventions, you guys are always consistent. Okay, I've even been a part of various conventions, and I find the way you guys operate to be just amazing. Yeah, everybody's on it. Everybody's nice. Things seem to really happen on time. And again, that's coming from someone that's just, I've not worked directly with you guys, but from my vantage point as really a patron, it has just been amazing to go to your events every year.
Well, we really do pride ourselves on having built and continued to grow a terrific show. I'm glad that it seems seamless from your side. It does not always feel that way on our side. But no, I know that I've been involved with Planet Comicon now since 2008. And I've really watched it and my involvement with it grow over those years from, a really nice kind of local show that brings in maybe one big name media guest and a couple of other media guests and some nice comic book type people.
I'm sorry,
and
I have to laugh, but I'm looking at this list. I'm sorry, Kirk, not to cut you off. I'm looking at this list though.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna Guardians of the Galaxy, Micheal Rooker, Karen Gillian, Sean Gunn, #1 movie of the year last year, changed the
right.
Well, #1 comic book film of the year. Let's get that straight.
I have my level and you have yours.
As much as I would like it to be, I know, as much as I would love it to be the #1 film of last year, and I was really hoping it would be, it still is Michael Bay and the Transformers. So, accident. With the kind of money they made, I'm hoping I have that kind of accident.
From The Walking Dead as well.
Hey, I want to tell you, out there on that dealer exhibit floor, I bet you can find some Transformers at our show too.
I bet you can. J. August Richards, which I have enjoyed everything he's put himself into.
It seems kind of neat. I mean, neat. Yeah, I'm using a word like that. I feel like I'm 12. But it seems very appropriate to have Sean Gunn there with J. August Richards, considering that they, how the fact that his character on Angel was named for Sean Gunn's brother.
Yes.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Oh, you never knew that story? Yeah, Joss Whedon really likes, really likes the Gunn brothers. And Sean Gunn had done 2 episodes of Angel, and got a chance to hang out with them. And he declared himself to be a big fan of the Gunn brothers and decided to name the character, who up to that point had no name,
now,
and named him Gunn.
Just to switch over,
Wow,
from the
very
guest,
cool.
because let's face it, you're not going to get much better than Stephen Amell, all of the folks from Lost Girl. But I was also looking at the comic book and an artist section, and I'll be honest with you, I lost count. I've never been so impressed with this many comic book guests. Keith, obviously, Cullen is a good friend of ours, but have you seen this list? It's
Yeah, no. It's not just about Cullen. I mean, to me, the one person, the one name that has been jumping out for everybody that I know that is really looking forward to this event is Tim Bradstreet. I have been, Tim Bradstreet and Howard Chaykin, who I think was there last year, and I got a chance to meet in passing. But you guys, again, really, Kirk, you and the Planet Comicon staff do a phenomenal job in just having everything really covered, all the bases covered, comics and media guests and dealers, and it's all in one weekend.
I'm going to give a lot of credit here to Chris Jackson, who owns the show and founded the show, and is very focused on maintaining a balance of growing, the comics. Cosplay's an element of that, obviously. So, the comics, the artist alley, the exhibitors, the celebrities, and then our panel programming, and really those kind of 5 areas, and trying to keep them all firing just as well as we can, and to make sure that there are interesting things for people of all kinds of interests. If you're interested in something nerdy, it's at Planet Comicon that weekend.
Well, then let's kind of start at the beginning a little bit. Let's take people back. How did all of this really start, as far as getting into the history of Planet Comicon in Kansas City and all that?
Well, Planet Comicon, the first one was held in 1999. Chris Jackson had been living in the Kansas City area for just a couple of years at that point. He'd lived out in California before that. And at that point, there had been a Kansas City conventions that had run starting in the late 1980s and through the 1990s, and they just kind of lost a bit of steam on those. And so there was a kind of a vacancy there. And Chris and William Binderup of Elite Comics thought, well, let's see if we can put on a show. And they brought for a media guest, they brought Kenny Baker, R2D2, over. They brought out a number of Chris's connections in the comic book world, because he had been, as a dealer, had been going to shows in California, had a lot of connections with a lot of great talented folks. They had a very successful show in the spring of 1999, all in one 50,000 square foot facility at the Overland Park International Trade Center. And it has grown over the years. Steadily grown until really in what year was it? I guess it was 2012. We had a great show there, and I may be off by a year, but we had Edward James Olmos and Billy D. Williams that year.
Yes, I remember.
And we just about popped the walls loose from the building with the number of people that we had in the Overland Park International Trade Center. We just really had outgrown the facility. By that point, we had the 50,000 square foot exhibit hall. Plus, we had a room that we used that seated maybe 300 people for a panel. And that year, we had gone into an area called the Atrium as well, where we had seating for about 800. And that's where we had like Billy D. Williams and Edward James Olmos. And so that was 2 different panel rooms, total seating of maybe 1,100 people and 50,000 square feet. And where we stand today, from being a two-day show then, we're now at 3 days. Instead of 50,000 square feet of exhibit hall space, this year we'll have 300,000 square feet of exhibit hall space. Instead of 2 big-name, kind of celebrity guests, we've got a roster that you can see on the website of 25 celebrity guests coming in, the biggest artist alley space we've ever had, the most number of exhibitors we've ever had, and instead of the being able to seat maybe 1,100 people in 2 panel rooms, we'll have 6 rooms of programming going that combined will seat 6,000 people.
Adult chosen costume, not adult. The first time I got to choose my own Halloween costume, I was Lando Calrissian. The very first time.
Well, yeah. Such a cool character and such a cool guy. You don't get cooler than Billy Dee Williams.
And yet we still love him.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Lando's great.
I must say, I kind of had a feeling you guys were headed for something big the year that you had the Star Wars Clone Wars guest. That must have said something to you guys when you had a lot of people going there. I remember walking in, and I think those particular guests that you had were probably the only people that had a steady stream and line of people at where they were sitting. Nothing against everybody else, but you had people bringing in their kids and many people that I think had not really been to an event like this of any kind.
I know that year, I believe you're talking about the year we had Ashley Eckstein out. We had Tom Kane, who's the voice of Yoda on Clone Wars, and he's actually a local guy here, so he'll be back at the show again this year.
That's what I was happy to hear.
Yeah, he had to miss last year. He had a conflict last year, but Tom is at most of our shows, and is just a lovely guy. Such a wonderful person to work with, and always ready to step in and help out. And he just
great
guy.
I have found him to
Kirk,
always
you've been doing this a while, and I know this is like old hat to you, but I also personally know you're still kind of a geek. So which guest are you geeking out for?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for the answer that nobody expects? I am into Doctor Who. Doctor Who's really my fandom these days. We've got a great Doctor Who guest in Karen Gillan, but we have my favorite companion from 50 years of that show actually at the show, and that's Karen Gillan's cousin, Caitlin Blackwood, who played young Amy Pond.
Yep.
She is hands down my favorite performer to ever be the companion. And so most people, when they think Amy Pond, think Karen Gillan. I'm just delighted that we had the opportunity to bring Caitlin Blackwood over from Scotland.
Right.
And this will be the two of them together, the two Amy Ponds and the two cousins who didn't meet until they were on set together on Doctor Who, playing the same character. This will be the first time they ever, for example, are together for professional photo opportunities. So if somebody wants to get a photo with the two Amy Ponds, this is the first time they've ever had the chance. Wow. And Caitlin's, I'm just excited to have her come over. She's coming over with her brother and her mother, and I think that we're going to get a little bit of time to socialize with them also outside the convention, so that's fun. And at the same time, Karen Gillan will be on stage in our big panel room that seats about 2,800 people, and at least as of this moment, the plan is that I will be emceeing that panel. So. Wow. So we'll see. I'm a little hesitant. I used to moderate more panels back in the day when things were a little bit smaller. I'm a little hesitant sometimes to take this on because sometimes I'm fighting fires, during the course of the day. But we've also, as we've grown, we've increased staff, and so I've got a number of people who are on staff to fight fires for me now. So hopefully I'm still able to make that happen. But so I'm looking forward. Actually, I'm kind of stressing out a little bit about getting up there on stage with Karen Gillan and making a good impression with all those people.
The first time my son ever cursed in his life was in that movie, and I was as a parent, I was still very proud of him because he said, "Daddy, if you ever shoot a lady with a bazooka and she gets up, leave her the hell alone." And I still agree with him to this day. It's out of the mouths of babes, okay?
It's a good point. You can't argue with it. That's wisdom right up there with, if somebody asks you if you're a god, you say yes.